today's video, I'm going to be showing you a 4D piñata, and it's got like the classic llama shaped piñata, and then I have just some like a streamer of little flags going down the nail that's brightly colored and matches the piñata. Everything is really bright and like festive about this. I absolutely love it. The little kind of extra special thing is that you can fill this piñata with glitter if you are not glitter phobic, and then you can open it up and the glitter falls out like the piñata was first opened. So I absolutely love this. Making the piñata took me about 2 days longer than I anticipated of working with it, because I kept having to put it down because it was frustrating like you could not believe. But I finally got it done, and whew, I'm glad this was behind me. But I hope you guys love it. Don't forget to click subscribe to see all my future videos as well. Happy Cinco de Mayo!
So we're going to begin with an overlay of cover pink acrylic. Just because there is so much color and so much happening on this nail, we need the background to be very subtle, very subdued, and basically disappear. And after that entire little overlay is done, you can file the nail into shape with your e-file, making sure it's all smoothed out and pretty. And now on a small plastic straw, we're going to be sculpting 2 ring shapes of basically whatever color you want, but make sure it is a color that will be included in your piñata design. If you don't plan on using any orange, don't sculpt these with orange, basically is where we're going with this. For me, I'm using an aqua color, just one of my favorites. I absolutely love it. It's adorable. So we're going to be making 2 of these. This is for the 2 halves of your piñata and basically making the hollow portion that you can fill with glitter. So keep in mind that you want these to be on the small side, because the whole piñata, the whole llama, is going to get bulkier and thicker as the design progresses. So this little inner part has to be fairly small. Once they're all cured, you can pop them off the straw and then file the ends of the little ring shapes just so that they're nice and smooth. So do that for both of them. And then on a nail form backing, you're going to be sculpting 2 circles of the same color, and they should be about the size of one of the openings, and then set each ring on top of one of the circles so that one end is filled in and the glitter won't fall out eventually when it comes to that. And then choose one of them, either one, and create a little indent with your e-file. Basically a half circle is what you want for this. So just file it so you've got that nice little half circle. Use an under the nail cleaner bit to do that, and then string a bead onto a little teeny tiny curved piece of wire. And then this is a delicate part of the process. You're going to set the little bead into that indent so that the wire hits the ring and the bead kind of has some free space around it. And after you have that set in there, which actually getting it placed is probably the most difficult part because everything is so teeny tiny. And if you guys are anything like me, your fingers don't want to cooperate with this kind of a thing. They argue with you. Mine definitely do. Then you're going to glue the wire down. You're going to just want to glue the wire. You don't want to get any glue on your bead. In fact, if you get any glue on your bead, your piñata will not open. Just get glue on the wire. And then secure the ends of the wire with more of that aqua acrylic, just slowly kind of pressing it down. Make sure this acrylic isn't too wet where it's going to flow into the bead and make the bead immobile, because anytime that bead becomes immobile, this whole thing kind of crashes and burns. So then you have your other piece of your little ring, and that one also has a small indent on it, not as big as the first one, but just a little bit because you want this to fit nice and snug together. Then glue the bead to the other side. So your wire is attached to one half, the bead is attached to the other half. If that all happens as planned, so your wire doesn't get attached to both and your bead doesn't get attached to both, you're golden. So then after all that's cured and set up, then you're going to want to glue a magnet to the outside of your little cylinders, your little rings. And I know that you're seeing me trying to glue it to the inside. No, glue it to the outside, because that's going to work so much better. And eventually I ended up doing this after I fought with it so many times, and I kept trying to glue it to the inside, and eventually I thought, I'm just going to glue it to the outside, and lo and behold, that was magic. So glue it to the outside and then secure it with some more of your acrylic, preferably the same color that you've been working with all along. Then set another bead next to that first one, apply just a dab of glue onto it, and this would be the same process either way, inside or outside, and then hold the whole piñata shut so that the new magnet is being glued to the other side, so that you have a magnet on each side, so that when you close it, it snaps together and it holds itself together. So now, on a nail form backing, we're going to be sculpting all of our little pieces of our llama. We've got 4 legs to sculpt, and then a neck and a head piece, and that is just going to be like a flat silhouette of the neck and the head, which you'll see me do in just a moment here. And then after you have that, you're also going to want to sculpt the ears. And when you're sculpting all of these little pieces, just keep checking back and bearing in mind the size proportions that you need to maintain, so that when you glue everything together on your llama, because you have that llama body done, essentially is what your little cylinder mechanism is the body. So you have to keep everything in proportion because you don't want it to be a little bit wonky looking. You want everything to look really nice and even. So then after all those pieces are set up, you can glue the legs in place, which for me, I got glue on my tweezers. So everything wanted to stick to my tweezers instead of to my llama, but glue 2 legs to each side. And as you can see, maybe you can kind of see it, I've got a little piece of a nail form backing between the 2 halves of my llama body. That way, when I go to start filling everything in with acrylic, it kind of creates a little protection so that it's harder to accidentally acrylic the 2 halves of my llama together. And it didn't stay in there as well as I thought it might because it ended up slipping out at some point. But it does create just kind of a nice little, I don't know, insurance policy if you want to stick a little piece of nail form backing between the 2 sides, just in case. Like I said, it didn't stay in there the whole time. I don't know what eventually knocked it out. But if you want to try to put a little piece, you can just cut a tiny square out of one of your nail form backings and stick it in there. But after we have that part done, we're just going to fill in all of the legs. So just go around and add basically 1 bead to each side of each leg probably will do the trick. And this is going to be doing 2 jobs. It's going to be securing the legs to the body, and it's going to be making sure that everything looks really round and doesn't have that flat pancake type, paper looking thinness to it. You want everything to look really round and healthy. But with that in mind, you don't need to over bulk out the legs because they're going to get a full layer of acrylic around the whole thing with different colors when you start adding the layers to them for the paper covering. So don't worry about it too much. Just bulk them out a little bit. I know there's a balance with everything. And then do the same thing for the neck and the head of your llama. When you're doing the neck and the head, try to remember to look at it from the front view because this llama, the way it swings around on the string at the end of the design, you can see it from all angles. So you want to make sure that this design is pleasing from all angles. You don't want it to just be something, depending on what you're doing, sometimes you can just make something look correct from the front of the nail or from like the direct overhead view, but it might not look quite right from the side, and that's fine because it doesn't need to have a 360 viewpoint accuracy. But this one really does need to have that. So just monitor your llama from all angles just to make sure that throughout the design he does look correct in all aspects. Now we're going to be gluing the ears down to the top of the head. If the acrylic on the top of your llama's head is ever so slightly wet still, it'll actually make your nail glue grab really fast and it'll make those ears really easy to deal with. And then after you have that done, just apply a little bit more of that teal acrylic on top of the ears as well. You just want to make sure everything is nice and secure. So now you're going to grab your other colors. For me, that's purple, pink, and yellow. And you're going to be adding layer after layer going around and around your little llama. So start at the feet and do each, right around the ankle of each foot leg with one color. And it can be any color. Like I said in the beginning of this video, you can use whatever color scheme you want. I would just make sure it's at least 3 colors and, have fun with it. Switch up your colors, do whatever you'd like for it. But for me, like I said, it's the pink, purple, yellow, and this aqua color. And then but just start around all the ankles with the first color and do the same color on each ankle. And then do the next color with your pink, or for me, it's pink, but your next color around each leg. And when you do the new color, overlap the previous color just slightly. And if you can, I know this is probably asking a lot, you want to try to make it thinnest towards the top of each section and a little thicker at the back of each section so that it has this kind of almost like shingle looking texture to it. So it's got this angled up little situation happening. So as you can see a little bit later on, it's a little easier to see that kind of a texture that's built into this. So when you're working with it, it's kind of the angle of your brush that you're paying attention to. So instead of having your brush super flat to the llama, just have it angled slightly with the point of your brush pressing a little bit more intently than the belly of your brush. So there's the yellow stripe, which is the next one. And then after that's the teal. I think you can see it really easy on the teal, that little texture that I'm talking about, or that angle. And just keep going around and around your llama. Eventually you're going to go up the neck of your llama as well, the whole time being very careful not to get any acrylic on the bead, not to get any acrylic that goes from one side of your llama body to the other. You want to make sure that that whole section stays where it can function and it can open. So just keep that in mind as you're doing every single step to this llama, that you don't want to mess that part up. And if you do, a quick e-file zapping usually can help, but it may cause more damage that you have to fix. So just best bet is to not have to do it. Glue a piece of thread under the tip of the nail, and then hopefully your nail glue is going to cooperate. You never know. Mine doesn't usually. And then after that nail glue has gripped a little bit, you can just secure it with some clear acrylic to make sure it's not going to go anywhere. Cut off the extra thread and then glue your piece of thread, the other end, to the llama's neck. And I didn't secure that any further with any glue or any more acrylic just because it glued really, really well. So I thought it was fine. But now I'm going to add a silicone mat. I'm going to paint 3 strips of gel polish, 1 pink, 1 aqua, 1 yellow, and 1 purple. The same essential colors that I used on my llama. Try to match them best you can. And if you don't have, as extensive collection of acrylic and gel as I do, and you might not have as many colors that match, you may want to pre-match these and help that dictate your color scheme in the beginning. But then peel the gels off the mat, those little gel strips after they have top coat on them. And then you're going to trim each of them into a series of those little flags. So we're going to be just trimming them like so into a nice straight long strip. And then after you have it where they're a nice piece instead of all raggedy on the edges, then cut them into little squares. And then from the squares, cut a little triangle snip out of one side so that you have this pointy layered bottom. On your nail, go through and apply a layer of matte top coat over the top of the surface of the nail. And then using matte top coat, you're going to be attaching your pieces of thread. So start in the one corner, apply that little bit of matte top coat, hold the thread and flash cure. After it's flash cured, you can stretch the thread across the nail at an angle, gel top coat, flash cure, and then cut off the thread, the extra, and then reattach it with some more of that matte top coat. And I think you guys get the picture. Just keep going back and forth with your thread and your matte top coat, just making sure that it is glued down all the way. Once you're done and you have your little zigzag of thread going across the nail, put this into your lamp for a full cure. These little flash cures don't add up to a full cure, and you want to make sure that this is absolutely secure. So throw it in there for a minute or whatever your matte top coat asks for. And then alternating colors with your little flags, dip them into some nail glue. I always put some on a little piece of nail form backing so that you can put some nail glue on the nail form backing so you can just dip these pieces in and then glue them to your thread. Nail glue will not glue very well to the surface of a matte gel top coat. It just will not do it, but it will glue very well to the thread. So that's why I use the matte top coat to glue down my thread instead of using just nail glue, and why I can use nail glue now. Just nail glue doesn't like any kind of gel top coat, matte or glossy. It says, no, I'm not going to stick to that. And that's its opinion, and that's fine. We work around it. If you get to a point where one of your flakes does not fit just because of the width of the nail, you can always cut them into the right shape to fit, or the right length to fit into the spot. And then after they're all glued, we can add a few little details to our piñata with some acrylic paint. I'm going to be adding a little bit of a strap around the llama's head, going around the snout, and then back behind the head, just like so. And if you wanted to attach it to where that thread piece was, you certainly could. Mine didn't exactly, and that's fine. And then add our llama's eyes with just a black dot and then a white highlight. And then after all that's done, apply some matte top coat over just the painted portion of your llama, and then you can fill this with glitter. I'm using a multicolor star glitter. That's one of my favorites, and filling in my little llama with that. And then you can play with this. If you do happen to have this on your nail, nobody's ever going to believe that your piñata is actually filled. And there are so many different amazing glitter combinations that you could fill your piñata with, and it is just so cute and so fun. And a lot of glitter actually fits in there, so there's enough that you can open it and show people the glitter coming out multiple times if you would like to. If you do decide to make this nail, please share recreations with me and we can share in the kind of the struggles of this one. So if you do decide to go for it, good for you, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.